Well, good morning, everyone. Today is October the 14th. I'm going to do your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Looking forward to the meditation. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. Let's go ahead and get into it and see what it has for us. Okay. Restraint as an expression of freedom. Just staying in our seat without checking our phone or creating side conversation can be surprisingly difficult, especially when we are having feelings we'd rather avoid. Guiding Principle, Tradition 6, Opening Reflection. The idea of a bunch of addicts sitting in a room together showing restraint sounds like the start of a bad joke. But hey, recovery in NA is full of miracles. It's truly an achievement that we're able to create and sustain an atmosphere of recovery considering our individual and collective capacity for being distracted. Many of us have to work especially hard to sit with any degree of stillness and patience and just be present because of how our brains work, of course, how new we are. And yes, there are many tools and avenues that may divert our attention from our primary purpose in a meeting, our smartphones, our fellow addicts, a noise outside, a technological glitch, a moment of boredom or overstimulation. Out of respect for the speaker, the newcomer, our group, and ourselves, we try to stay focused. Showing restraint in this manner is the respectful thing to do. There are other times when our diversion is a sign of something deeper, and our tendency to deny or avoid our feelings get ignited. Identifying with a member's share can be a lovely moment of connection, but it can also make us want to crawl out of our skin. We addicts seem to be allergic to discomfort, and yet pushing through it will often bring us to a place of more profound comfort with ourselves and our surroundings. Glancing at our phone won't give us that. It does help us to have some guidance here, as not all discomfort has that potential to be productive. We need a sponsor and other trusted NA members to help us distinguish between a moment when we should rein in our desire to scoot and stay with our feelings and when we should honor our need to remove ourselves from a potentially harmful situation. Restraint is an expression of freedom. The freedom to do is also the freedom not to do. I'll practice that today by not being rude or running from my feelings. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I think this meditation is amazing. I think this meditation is absolutely amazing. The reason why is because, one, whoever thought we would have a reading, a meditation that would even talk about a smartphone in the meditation? That's how far we've come. See, the conversation, I go to a meeting on a regular basis, and in the reading, the format has not changed that much. It still says, if you find yourself in need or in trouble, take a quarter and tape it to one side, right, of your coin so that you can make a phone call. A quarter for a call at a payphone is not what we're talking about here anymore. Even though you may actually be able to still find payphones, it's not going to cost you a quarter. Most people will have access to a cell phone, a smartphone, and I am just amazed at how far the fellowship has come. It used to be very few people had internet connection, and it was through a landline. It was a long cord that ran simultaneously with your telephone, and it would hook up to a humongous computer, and you would have internet. And it would take forever to connect you. Do you remember the days of AOL and Hotmail? Yeah. As a fellowship, we have come so far. We can be in touch instantly with all of these apps that we have access to. I could instantly, for free, be in touch with people on the other side of the world, in Australia, in Ireland, in the Netherlands, in London. We can instantly be in touch with people. However, that ability to do that progress that we have made can be used positively or it can be used negatively. This spiritual principle of restraint, right, is an expression of freedom, also means that we have the freedom to not restrain. And so when we're in a meeting sometimes, what can happen is because everyone has become somewhat passive aggressive or passive about other people being on their smartphones in the meeting. It's very common to be in a meeting and 2, 3, 4 people will actually have their phones out, if not more, texting or watching something, some video there but not there. Today, let's not be that person. Today, let's put it on vibrate, right? Let's put it on vibrate, or let's put it on do not disturb. I get it if you have family member and there might be an emergency. But if there's another adult around, they probably more than likely have access to someone that can help them for an hour and a half. Tell your family, I'm going into this meeting. I'm just checking to make sure everything's okay. Is everybody all right? Because I'm going to turn my phone off. I'll be off grid for an hour and a half. As soon as the meeting closes, I will turn my phone back on and check on you guys. Okay? That is just one suggestion. You don't even have to turn it off. Leave it in the car. Lock it up in the glove compartment box or underneath your seat. If you don't want to turn it off, put it on vibrate. And if it vibrates, you know that that is a person that is potentially serious about needing to reach you. Take a look at it. If it looks like something that you need to address, step out of the meeting, address it, come back into the meeting. Let's develop a spirit of restraint, or what I would call honor, for one another in the recovery atmosphere. Now, I know that's hard to do. I do not do this perfectly. In fact, one of the meetings that I'm a part of is a hybrid meeting, and I am responsible for making sure the meeting is open virtually. And I'm responsible for communicating to individuals if they're having a hard time getting into the meeting. And so I'm over to the side a little bit where people can't really see me on camera. And I am busy working in the background. And so I have a phone that is out because a lot of times I'm connecting with the person that's trying to get into the room and maybe they're having a struggle. So I have to admit that there's times when I'm not able to do this. But generally speaking, I'm not using that phone to have fun and ignore the people that are sharing. So there are some exceptions, right? So don't be too quick to judge. There are exceptions, but when it comes to you in your side of the street, how much of this meditation are you able to actually consider? Or do you have a closed mind? You've been doing what you wanted to do in the meeting so long. How dare they? How dare they tell me to be less distracted? You know, one thing about this meditation, and one thing I love about Narcotics Anonymous, and I think I said it in the other meditation, the Just for Today, is that we have the opportunity to actually have authentic relationships with other people, where we actually let other people speak into our lives and they let us speak into theirs. Some of us are not very good at drawing boundaries. So we may not really have a good grasp on when we need to put our foot down on ourselves about being distracted. We may think, I have to endure this. This is the spiritual principle of humility and honor. I have to stick and stay and listen to this. And actually, it might be a share that's not good for you. It may be triggering. It may be very uncomfortable for you. It may cause you to have some schisms mentally, right? That are not going to be healthy for you. You may actually leave worse than you actually came into the meeting. How do you start to learn the balance of this? Because that's what it talks about towards the end, that we may actually need our sponsor. I'm right here. Let me highlight it so that you can see. We need a sponsor and other trusted NA members to help us distinguish between a moment when we should rein in our desire to scoot and stay with our feelings, and when we should honor our need to remove ourselves from a potentially harmful situation. See, that is so important, because if you don't know the difference, or you've struggled with taking care of yourself, as many of us have before we got into the rooms, you may still struggle with knowing what is okay and what is not okay for you. And this is why you need to have fellowship. This is why you need to, as the other meditation was talking about, not have that energy that you're lonely in the rooms. We need someone that we can confide in and say, when they start talking about their sexual behaviors, it is like I start having flashbacks. And my mind is no longer in the meeting. I cannot sit and listen and not be triggered, because my behaviors thus and so happened and thus and so happened. Or I can't count the number of times I was raped. Or for a gentleman, when they start talking like that, I start feeling this extreme amount of guilt about my participation in degrading women. And I get extremely uncomfortable. And because I haven't done all of the work that I need to do, I personally feel like I don't deserve to be in the rooms. See, that's a conversation that you should be having with your sponsor or someone else, and sorting that out, because it may not be for you to stay and listen to that share. It may be time for you to step outside and get a breath of fresh air and come back when they're done sharing. Because if it's a genuine share and it's affecting their recovery, they also may not know that it's appropriate or inappropriate to share a certain way. Everything is not meant for the rooms, but if it is affecting your recovery, you can share about that, right? You don't have to monitor whether or not people are going to be okay with what you can consider it as spiritual, to consider what you're going to say. But it's not your job to make sure that people are okay with what you share. But just remember that it's possible that some of what we're sharing about may affect people in different ways. And out of respect, they may try to sit there and listen. But if they get up and walk away, don't take it personal. They're probably just taking care of themselves. Sharing in a manner that represents recovery. If I bring the problem, they always told me, bring the solution. If I bring the problem, I need to bring the solution. If I'm going to share about the issue I'm having, I should also have some sort of solution about which step I can apply to that. I don't have to have all of my own answers. Don't get me confused. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, though, let's be considerate that maybe the right to do something, the freedom to do something is also the freedom not to do something. And some of us just don't know where that thin line is. And we need to give space and room and grace and mercy and kindness and love, right? To other individuals to be able to figure that out for themselves as we also are figuring it out. Yeah, this meditation is beautiful. I love it. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope there's something in it that you are able to just, take it and run with it, grow with it. And I hope that you'll have a beautiful day on purpose. And I will be talking to you tomorrow.